Hi everyone, Meg's here. How you doing? Sorry about my voice. I did film another video that's really long. I'm not sure which one I'm going to put out first, the mixed media tag video or this one. So I'll just retell you I lost my voice this week. It really set me back. That's why I haven't been filming much. And so, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not sick with the serious flu or virus. I just had allergy issues, but it really took my voice away and I was not feeling great. So, I am kind of behind in things, and I apologize to those who have ordered things, but I do want to say thank you so much for the response I got for the craft packs. I do have 2 more to send. Please don't think I forgot about you. Everybody else I sent you an email already. If you did not get an email, though, that means you are one of the 2 people who did not get yours sent yet. And I promise you it's a little bit behind, but it will be there. So thank you so much in advance for your patience. Also, my mixed media tags are done. I just did a video on it, like I said. So that person, I will, if you're watching, they will be sent as well coming up in the next couple of days. It is the weekend, so I'll probably wait till Monday at this point. So thank you for being here and for listening to my, always in the beginning I have a message. I had to show this to you guys. This was another reason I was behind in the craft packs. I had to make more coffee dyed paper and avocado paper. I have done videos on this before, but I really wanted to just show you what I've created. I get so excited about this. You all know, if you know me, you know how excited I get about this paper. I don't want this to be super long, but I do have to go make dinner, but I want to show you guys what I've created and what I've learned about avocado dyeing. I'm really going to try to keep my voice clear. Excuse me, let me take a drink. Sorry about that. Trying to keep it clear. I got the most beautiful results, the best results I've ever gotten. I went and did a little more research. What I have here is coffee dyed papers, avocado dyed papers, and the only dye or color that I used that was not avocado or coffee was one color, and it was blue, because I am doing some blue in a journal. I wanted a couple of blue pieces, and then and that was I used for that blue distress spray stain. Let me just show you the color. This one right here. So it's chipped sapphire spray stain. I used this, sprayed it in a tub of water, and so I did do, sorry about the baby screaming. My husband's got it under control. And so some of those I dipped, made a couple blues, and then in the end, when I was almost all done, I did mix some of that blue water with the avocado water and got some beautiful purples. And then I did some hybrid things where I mixed some of the coffee with the avocado water and got avocado and coffee. So I got like this. Isn't that just beautiful? Now, of course, on camera, the colors are not going to be as vibrant as they are in person. But what I wanted to show you guys is not just the regular avocado and coffee. I mean, this is the biggest stack I've ever done, by the way. It took me 6 hours to dye all these. And I do 2 different methods. I do the oven for some of them, and I also do the method of Medieval Mirage, where she puts it in a big plastic bin. I have 2 bins, one for avocado, one for coffee. And I take a big paintbrush, like a house painting paintbrush, and I paint on whatever dye I'm using, whether it's avocado or coffee water or, the blue. And then I just stack them. Excuse me. I put them in, and I put vinyl. They're called vinyl placemats or stencils and things like that, and layer them on top of each other. And then that takes a few days to dry. What I usually do is leave it under a fan, come and peel off the top layer that dries, and then it dries faster. So I'll let it, in a couple hours, the top layer might be dry. So then I peel that top layer off, and then the second layer will dry. One thing I want to say about that is you want to make sure that it does dry before you peel it if you are using some kind of stencil or vinyl tablecloth or vinyl placemat. I can't think of what they're called, because the markings might not actually go into the paper until it's dry, or at least they're better when it does dry. So I wanted to show you some of the gorgeousness I got, and I want to tell you one more thing about avocado dyeing that I learned. These are my hybrid colors, so I did some avocado and coffee together. They just came out beautiful, and as you can tell, these are from the oven. I do iron all my papers too. That's another extra hours long deal, but some of them like this I didn't. But aren't these just beautiful? They're so pretty, but I did get so many different results. These are both avocado and coffee. I love mixing the two. And you know, I just got some really great results here. Now, I want to get to the pink. Now, this avocado, I don't know how it's showing up, but this is the best water I ever got, ever. So for these, I mean, that pink, it's so gorgeous. Now, I've gotten really purpley pinks before. I've gotten really brown pinks. I've got really bright pinks, but never a pink like this. This is my favorite pink of all time. It's so stunning in person. Like, I can't even deal with it. It's so beautiful. And then how I got these markings is I literally just dipped a coffee mug into the dark coffee, because I make a lighter coffee mixture and a darker coffee mixture as well, because I like different types throughout. So I like darker paper, I like lighter paper, so I make a lot of different mixtures. And then I just dip it in my darkest coffee with a coffee mug around the rim and just leave marks on. So I got coffee marks on things. And then if I want smaller ones, I use a little shot glass and dip it in, because I have a shot glass that I dip in and do the same thing for the markings. So let's hop to, let me just show you some of these. They're really pretty. Some of these pinks are just, so I mixed the coffee and the avocado for a lot of these. Look at this. Oh, so pretty. Look at this. Is that not stunning? This is literally, I took coffee on a baker's, but I used the blue dye. Then I took a paintbrush. This was when I was all done. I didn't care what happened to the waters if they mixed. I only had a couple things left. And I just dipped my paintbrush in the coffee mixture. Then I dipped it in to the avocado mixture, and then I dipped it into the blue dye. And this is what I got. There's no yellow dye in here. There's no purple dye in here. And I got the most beautiful yellows and purples. Isn't that just stunning? And I baked it. I love it. This is just the blue dye with avocado water, and it made purple. And then this is just plain avocado. The pinks I got in here are just, I keep talking about it, but I can't even deal with it in person. It's so much prettier than on camera. They're so beautiful. So these will go in the 2 craft packs that were not sent yet. Lucky you too. So you will be rewarded for your patience. These are nice and ironed. They're just really pretty. I will add some to those craft packs. The rest are going to go into my junk journals that I will be making, which I'm very behind on. But yes, they're going to be going into that. Now, oh, I did a list of all the stuff I made. I made over 200 different pieces. So look at that color. There's no dye in this. It's just avocado. So what I wanted to say about the avocado is I learned, and some of you might know this already, the difference. If you want a more brown pink, now you can make your avocado water more acidic or more alkaline. And how you do that is, what you want to do is, I use the pits and the skins. I use 3 avocados, 3 pits, and 3 skins. And actually I had 2 pits that were in my freezer, or 3, and I took those out and used those as well, just because. But you want to make sure they're nice and dried out, like the pits. You don't want any residue of avocado on them. Clean them really well. Also, you want to put them in the freezer if you're going to save them, because if they turn brown, they will do a browner water. And if you want extra pink, you can pinken it up a bit, and I'm going to teach you how to do that by making it more alkaline. But you know, sometimes if the pits and the avocados are not good or are too dark, they will just make a brown, and there's not much you can do about it. But some people really like that brownish pink color, which is great. But I like, if I'm using it, I want to get the best pink I can. And then if I want to brown it up, I just add coffee to it, and that gets me a nice brown pink. So I try to get a nice bright pink, and this was the best pink I ever got, and I'll tell you why. I decided that I was going to do some research, like I said, and I did. And I found out that, like I said, the alkaline or acidic. So before, I was adding vinegar to my water. So what I do is, number 1 rule is, you do not want to heat it too hot too long. If you overcook your avocado water, it will brown. It will, and sometimes it's not a pretty pink brown. It's just like a poopy pink brown. So you want to slowly heat up your water. Not just, I see a lot of videos, and maybe it worked for you. If you do it that way, that's fine. But for me, I did more research, and I found this out, and I think it just goes along with my experience as well. And I've been doing this for a couple of years. So if you just boil it at high heat and just boil it for hours and hours and hours, there's a chance you can overcook it and it won't be pretty. And that used to happen to me all the time. So I get the best results, the most vibrant red. I mean, if you guys, I wanted to video it, but I couldn't. But if you could see my water, it was the craziest red I've ever gotten. Beautiful. And I made a gigantic pot with just 3 avocados. So They weren't old. They weren't super green either, the avocado skins or whatever. They weren't like super green, but they were good avocados. And also the pits were really big, and I let them dry out a bit before I boiled them, which I heard is a smart thing to do. So that was number one that I did. The next thing that I did is I wanted to, if you want to, I used to add vinegar to my water. I heard that helps the dye sink in, but really, if you make your water more acidic, that adds more yellow to your dye, and that goes with any dye that you're making. So if you add more vinegar, excuse me, let me start over. If you add vinegar to your, sorry, I have screaming in the background, it's making me crazy. If you add vinegar to your water or your dye, whichever kind of dye you're making, that goes for if you're using turmeric, if you're doing blueberries, if you're doing regular dyes, anytime you add vinegar, it will add more acid to it, obviously, and acid adds more yellow, and yellow tends to be more brown, right? So if you're doing avocado water and you add vinegar, it's going to be more yellowy, which will make it more brown. So if you want more brown in your avocado water, I gotta go soon, they're going crazy, then you add the vinegar. If you want a more pink, then you, or a more orange or red, then you add bicarb soda or baking soda. So that's what I did for this. I added no vinegar. I just added baking soda. Bicarb soda is what they say, like in Australia and stuff. That's the video I was watching where I learned this. I can link her video below. Her name is Carly Rose, and she she dyes fabrics and things. And I learned it through another website too. I just can't remember offhand what it was, but yeah, both of them said the same thing, and I tested it out, and it is true. You can actually take a cup of your avocado water. You can test it out if you want. Take some baking soda, put it in one of the cups with the water, and then take some vinegar and put it in the other cup. And right there, when you stir them up, you will see the difference in both. One will be more brown, one will be more orange or pink. Okay, so that's what I did, and I got the best results I ever got for these, this set of really beautiful pinks. I mean, look at that. It's like a nice baby pink on that side. Because I just, and all I did for most of these like this, I just dipped it in. Some of them I painted it on with a paintbrush. Some of it I soaked it for a long time. But even the ones I just dipped in, which is like this one, I literally took it, dipped it in the pot, and then it was that pink. A lot of times you have to soak it for a long time. I did not do that with these. I just dipped them in the water, and that was it. And they turned that pink. So yeah, really beautiful. And then these are some of the markings. There was one more thing I want to show you. So I got some different greens you'll see and stuff like that on these. And that was not another dye. What I did for that is, if you watch the Medieval Mirage video, which I'm sure you've all seen by now, but if you haven't, oh my gosh, I'm sorry about all the screaming. I have to go. If you have not, I'll leave that link in the description below. And what she does when she puts them in these tubs with the different stencils and things that I was telling you about, you can also, I think she shows in her video this technique too, which I actually learned by accident. I didn't learn it from her. Basically, if you take construction paper in all different colors and you tear them up into little pieces, or you can punch them with punches and, make like use these, but just regular construction paper like pinks and greens and blues. I did that. I'm trying to find it. And you do a layer, okay? You do a layer of coffee paper, right? You put your coffee on. Then you sprinkle these different pieces of construction paper in different colors on, whether it's punches or you just, like me, I just tore some up and sprinkled it on. Then you put another layer of coffee dyed paper that's wet on top, wet it with the coffee, and then keep layering. The dye comes out of the paper and goes onto your, paper. So hopefully that makes sense. I really wanted to demonstrate it, but yeah, it didn't work out. But isn't that beautiful? This is from the pan. Oh, the cupcake pan I used. So nice. And then this is just, I did some of that blue on this one. So beautiful. Oh, these papers, you guys. These are just the regular papers, and look how much I did. It doesn't look like that much when you iron it, but look at all these. This is 6 hours worth of dyeing and 3 days worth of drying, and then an hour and a half of ironing. So it's a very long process. But let's skip to the process I'm talking about, which is right here. Isn't that just so nice? Oh, it's so grungy and beautiful. So this is the medieval Mirage way that I did. And then this is with the those papers. Now, I did this by accident one day. I actually had a punched out a piece of regular cardstock, or what did I just say? The colored paper. And it actually got into my bin where I was coffee dyeing, and then I saw that it left a mark. So then I tested it out. I just ripped up all these scraps that I had. These are just scraps, that's why it looks like that. And I just sprinkled them on the wet paper and then layered it and let it dry, and that's dyed on there now. That's just the scrap papers. Isn't that cool? And I do think, I think it's Medieval Mirage who shows that technique in her video. I think. I could be wrong, but I saw it after I did it by accident one day, but I've been doing it ever since, and it's so fun. And like I said, if you use your punches, see, like if you punch it on purpose, you can leave those actual colored, markings on your paper, which will look even prettier. But I like that weird look. So isn't this just gorgeous paper? I love it. It makes me happy. This is the kind of stuff that makes me so happy. Again, I have some more. I had lots of scraps, and, I just love how the markings went on here. Oops. And then I used, lots of stencils, and this is that vinyl doily, which is really cool. They're hard to find, but you can use stencils just as much as, or just as good as you use the vinyl doilies. I just like the way the vinyl doilies look. Isn't that awesome? So beautiful. So I don't want to take too much time here. I just recorded a really long video. I just wanted to show you some of my beautiful results because I'm so proud of it. Look at that pink. I don't even know how that pink got in there because this was tea, so I don't even know. But isn't it gorgeous? From the oven. Beautiful. And yes, I just got some really gorgeous paper. Let me just show you some more. Okay, the other thing I wanted to tell you that I love dyeing. Let's get through some of these and show you these real quick. I love these papers. Oh, so pretty. Can you see the stenciling in this one? It's really pretty. And again, I use the coffee mug dipped in coffee for that stencil. But there's no other dyes in these regular big papers. That's just avocado. And look at that rich color. Isn't that gorgeous? Yes. And that blue is really nice too. I love it. So yeah, so that's what I just wanted to tell you, is to put some baking soda in your water if you want it extra pink. I didn't measure it. I just poured it in, and it bubbles and looks kind of scary, but it's really, really, it made it so vibrant. I couldn't believe the pinks I got. And you can still get a baby pink if you want. Just sprinkle it on. It doesn't always come out super dark. You can get it darker by soaking, or make your papers darker by soaking, obviously, soaking your paper into the water. To get this lighter pink, I just did one coat with a paintbrush. This one right here, I soaked it for a minute. Not very long though, and I got that rich color. It wasn't long. This I just dipped real quick, sprinkled some on, and got that beautiful baby pink. It's so gorgeous. And then the richer ones, and then I mixed the coffee with this one. This is just the behind this beautiful floral paper that are going to go in these junk journals I'm making. Can't wait. They're going to have all this beautiful paper. And okay, so the last thing I wanted to show you that I love to do, and I use it as a work surface, is I get a really cheap composition notebook. It has to be the composition brand because I know that, that's the one that I use anyways. I know that they are sewn in. That's the important part. So if the composition notebooks are sewn in the middle, and so all you do is cut that string, and then you have one long piece of paper, which is really cool. And this is really good to do for little golden books, because you have that nice big piece to fit your little golden book. You can trim it as you need to. But I literally open my composition notebook, and I'll work on top of it. So I'll just use my paintbrush and paint some of the papers really quickly. If I'm doing the oven ordeal, sometimes I do all different kinds of stuff. Sometimes I dip the papers and then put it on the pan. Sometimes I take the papers and lay them out like on top of the notebook, and I'll take a paintbrush and I'll paint with the waters that I'm using and the dyes or whatever, and get a bunch of papers wet. That way I can start layering them like into the the plastic bin for the Medieval Mirage thing that I do. That way you get them wet first. It's hard to tell you without showing you. And they have color on them. And then when you start layering them and you put your stencil on, you can put more color on, and that way you're not leaving any white on the paper. Does that make sense? I wish I could show you guys, but I think if you listen to that a couple times, you'll understand what I'm saying. When you do the layering technique, if you don't want white paper, you don't want to put a white piece of paper in your plastic bin and then put the stencil on or the doily or whatever and then spray over it and then layer again, because then you're going to have white paper. So you want to get it coffee dyed first, but you don't want it too dark. So what you do is I just lay out my composition notebook for the drippings, and then I take my regular piece of paper and a paintbrush and I dip in waters, the coffee water say, and I rub it on here, set it aside. I do it to a bunch because you want to go, have more than one to work with at a time. And that way the water's soaking in a little bit, so at least it has some color on it, right? Then I set it down into that big plastic bin, and I take my stencil, set that down, right? Take some more of that coffee water, maybe a darker version, or some avocado water or whatever, something darker than what's already on it, but at least it has a first layer on it. Right? That makes sense? So then I'm dipping. Then I want to rub it on there, get it nice and wet, and then I'm going to lay my second piece on top. That's already been painted a little bit during that session where I hurried up and painted a bunch, right? So then that one's already got some dye on it, so I set that down on top of that, go over it again with the coffee, and then so on and so forth, So hopefully that makes sense. I did have some questions, and I really wanted to show it on camera, but it just wasn't working out. It was such a long process. I had kids in and out of the kitchen. It was like 6 hours. I was just cranky and exhausted by the time I was done, but it was a very good experience afterwards because I got the most beautiful papers I've ever made. I just love, and the oven, that was the other question. How long? Your ovens may vary. My husband laughs when I say that. If I say my oven's hot, he's like, all ovens are hot. But ovens do vary. And some of these I just sat outside. It was a really nice day. I set them out in the sun and let them, dry out there, the ones that were in the bins. Then I set them under the fans. Like I said, I peel a layer back until they're dry. Could take a couple days. But you don't want to leave them in the bins too long because it will leave a mildew or a mold. Okay, if you have to, if it's been a couple days and they're still not dry, peel them, put them under a fan. It really does work. But peel them very lightly off and spread them out under a fan, and they'll dry like that. Okay, because they're already halfway dry at that point. But if you leave them in there for a long time, you can make mold. I mean, it's coffee, You can also attract ants and things like that. So you don't want to leave it in there forever to dry. I definitely recommend also, they get a wrinkle in them sometimes that you can't get out with an iron, which is okay sometimes, but the kind of wrinkle, like I don't mind wavy paper, but those deep wrinkles, they're not attractive to me. So I like to get them out and, unpeel them when they're damp or almost dry. If I have to, that way I can iron them. You can also dry them with the iron. Okay, so how hot is the oven? Okay, I tested that theory for over a year. I've tried probably 8 different heat settings. My favorite heat setting is 275. I don't think it's too hot. I think it's perfect. 275 for me is great. I do 1 or 2 layers, so it takes me a long time because when I stack too many in one sitting, like layers, it doesn't dry that fast, and then I'm having to take it out and peel a layer off and then put it back in. By the time I open the oven, do that many times, I could have already had one dry and then another one in. You know what I'm saying? So just do 1 or 2 layers. You don't have to stack them up. If some people do stack them up, I think Mrs. Coggs might, and she has great results. So it's all depends on you and your own technique. This is just how I do mine. And like I said, I actually pull from 6 or 7 different ways that I was taught. So 6 or 7 different women that I've seen do this. I've done it, and men. I've learned from Mike Deacon as well. Back in the day, I watched his video. So I've learned this from so many amazing artists who do this, and even people who do fabrics. I take some of their advice in dyeing, and you can just do a little bit of everything. I dry them outside. I dry them under a fan. I dry them in the oven. I iron them. You can just try it all different ways and see how it works for you. I did the whole composition notebook And it was just so fun. Some of them I put in the oven. I really like the oven, is my favorite way that papers look. Now, when I said those deep set wrinkles, here's one that was outside drying, and you know, it took forever, and I just was like, oh, I didn't worry about it. Then I finally got to it, and I was like, eh. And then I ironed it, and look, I could not get those wrinkles out. So that's what I'm talking about. Those kind of wrinkles I don't really care for at all. I just don't like them. It might not matter to you, but I've gotten a lot of papers like that, and I just don't like that. And it tends to happen with the drying in the bins, you know. So just, I like to peel them while they're damp, and that way they end up being smooth. Sometimes they can dry in a stack smoothly, but in my experience, right here, these ones were in the bin on top of each other, and they dried in the bin, and it took a couple days, and they ended up being really wrinkly. So it just depends. When you smooth it out, try to smooth it out when you're stacking them in the bins, in the plastic containers, because that's how they'll dry. So if they're really wrinkled, when you put them in, they'll dry that way. But yeah, so I think I covered, you know, I know all this has been taught before, and, you know, I didn't make any of this up, that's for sure. I learned all this, so it's out there. But I just really love my results, and I wanted to share them with you and answer the couple of questions. Oh, and somebody said they called them my hybrid papers. That's what I called them in one of my videos months ago. These are what they are, and it's really simple. It's just avocado water on one side and coffee on the other. And I don't know how it's picking up on camera. Not very great. In person, it's very vibrant. I can tell you that. I'm looking through the lens, and it's not at all. But yeah. You just take a big house painter brush, like a big paintbrush, like the long ones, and I literally dip in my avocado water on this side, clean off my brush, dip it in the coffee on that side, and do it on both sides, and then put it in the oven on the baking tray that has the marks. I love these marks. It's my broiler pan, and this is what I got. And they're like, I call them unicorn papers, but I think somebody on YouTube has called their papers unicorn papers, so I didn't want to be a copycat, so I just called them hybrid my hybrid dyes. So yeah, there we go. That's all. That's very simple. Now my kids are going crazy. My husband's probably dying out there, so I am going to go. I want to thank you so much for joining me, and all of you who have made purchases, thank you for your patience, and thank you so much for your support. And I know I haven't made many videos, but I'm working on it. It's not, and somebody said to me, oh, now that your husband's home, you can make videos. You should be able to make more videos. And it's not as easy as you might think. Yes, he's giving me time and helping me with the kids a lot, but things have not been easy. It's not been easy for me to make videos. I'm telling you that right now. It's very loud here. Isn't that beautiful? And I've been not feeling great. And also we had to adjust a lot of, you know, sadness, and we had to pick ourselves up a little bit because of the adjustments our families had to make to our new living situation. Honestly, it's all happened so fast. None of us expected this, and we're worried about if my husband's going to even have a job to go back to because his company wasn't doing so great to begin with. So, you know, it's just extra stress on him, extra stress on my family, and he does a great job at making us not worry and taking care of us. So anyways, I guess I shared a little more than I planned on, but that happens sometimes, doesn't it? So with that, there, look at that pink. I'm going to let you guys go and tell you to stay safe. Look at that pink. Oh, I can't believe it's not showing up like it is in person. Stay safe, and yeah, if you like this, give the thumbs up. If you know any techniques I didn't mention, let me know down below. And yeah, have a great day. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.